Hello, hi, welcome to our latest webinar today. Okay, so right now it's 10 o'clock and we will be starting very soon. There will be more and more people joining us. Right now we see we have double digits, which is very, very good. All right, as per normal, all right, please take note, there is a chat box for you to comment if you have any. All right, so joining us today, we will have Synology Singapore distributors with us. And also on top of that, of course, we have also the staff from Synology. Okay, there are a couple of them today. They will be joining us and they will be here to answer questions should you have any. Okay, right, so let's move on to today's topic. But before that, let's go through some stuff that has been happening. Okay, there will be an introduction of a new model that is available. That is the DVA 1622. Okay, while we are waiting for more people to join us, let's go through some questions if you have any for those who have already joined us early today. Okay, if you have any questions pertaining to your purchase or stock status or any questions at all, please by all means feel free to comment. All right. At the same time, you will see some QR codes at the corner of some of my slides. Those are for resellers. Okay, so for today's video, it's only available for resellers. No end users are in this video, so don't worry. Okay, we are all resellers in Singapore. I'm supporting all the resellers in Singapore for Synology. Okay, for those who know me, they have known me for a number of years doing Synology and a couple of other brands. Okay, so for today, what happens is we will be talking about surveillance. Okay, for the longest time, you all know that surveillance is available on Synology, not only to use Synology as a NAS, but also to use it also as a NVR. Okay, quite a niche number of you are actually using it very regularly as an NVR, and has actually gone through quite a number of projects with me. And I have also similarly advised you guys on what are things to keep a lookout for. Not only for surveillance, you don't just talk about, of course, the usual few rules for surveillance. You want to talk about detection, deterrence, detection, and forensic. Okay, so today we are talking more on the detection and forensic. Okay, what are you going to do after that? Okay, for the deterrence portion, you will install cameras that are visible to the perpetrator. So for people who are trying to commit an offense, they have to make sure that they know that there is a camera there looking at them. Okay, be it that it could be a dome or it could be a bullet camera. Okay, regardless. All right, so there is many options available right now in the market where you can see if it's a bullet camera. Okay, be it however many megapixels that you have installed, or if it's a bullet camera. Okay, regardless of the brands of cameras that you have installed, all right, you may be using any of those that you have. Okay, there will be several ways to add the cameras into the surveillance station software on the NAS. Okay, and as usual, do take note, all NAS that supports surveillance station. Let me stress again, the keyword here is the NAS that supports surveillance station. It comes with minimally 2 free camera licenses. Okay, unless it's the DVA, then it has additional more free licenses. Okay, now of course you can add more cameras to the NAS. Of course, at the same time, you got to look at the resources and you got to look at how to size the NAS. Okay, you're not going to use a small little 2-bay and try and chunk in 40 cameras and expect it to be able to handle all the traffic and load. All right, so there will be some sizing slides which I will go through with you, and also I will go through very briefly on how to add the cameras and what are some of the ways to do it, and what are some of the protocols to keep a lookout for. So not only we are talking about the sales side of it, but we will also cover a little bit of the technical portion. Okay, just a little bit technical. Okay, not too very hard, and I think it is very manageable. Okay, and at the same time, I will show you also the latest DVA that's available in the market, and of course you can start ordering it. And also, as resellers, please take note that you do enjoy deal registrations. Okay, if you have any deals to deal with surveillance, all right, please do your registration in case you need any pre-sale consultancy, or if you need to double check on any of the technical things that may come along. All right, surveillance sometimes is also a science by itself, and so you may need additional technical assistance, because you don't want to reach a stage where you have already done the deployment and realize that you hit certain roadblocks. Okay, which could have been solved with some pre-sales assistance. Okay, for that, please do reach out to your suppliers. All right, make sure you get the right supplier that can assist you, and then that will be fine. Okay, there are several factors that you need to keep a lookout for, so be careful about those. All right, I can't stress enough on all these minor details, which could be very, very critical down the road after you have done your installation. Okay, so be very careful of those. All right, now other than that, let me see if there's any chats. Okay, so far we are good. All right, okay, for the chats, there will be some slight delay. I will keep a lookout for it because we are streaming live, but still, even if it's live, there will still be some slight delay. Okay, so I will keep a buffer of between 15 seconds to 30 seconds in between anything that I may ask. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, the QR code is for Singapore resellers where you can join. okay, as resellers, and you can ask questions. There are people who are asking questions pertaining to their purchase or how they can assist their customers. Okay, I hope my voice is all right. So far I see my measurements for voice is okay. Everything is fine. All right, lighting is good. Okay, right, so let's take a look at today's slide. Okay, so today we are talking about scalable surveillance deployment, okay, and also how do you secure it for the business, okay, and to show you how easy it's going to be and it can be. Okay, if my voice is too soft, do let me know. Okay, try to adjust your volume first. If after adjusting your volume is still kind of soft, let me know. I will adjust my microphone's dB. Okay, right, so let's take a look at the first page for today. Okay, I will keep you as insightful as possible for the next 60 minutes. All right, so we will start pretty soon. Okay, I have to prepare some hardware to show you guys, okay, because later on down the slides, there will be some new hardware to see and also to show you guys. Okay, all right, so let's start. Okay, so you can see the QR code over here. Okay, it's on Telegram. All right, we have a Telegram group. You can download the app for Telegram. And of course, similarly, you can also join us. I will vet you first to make sure that you are a reseller. Okay. Now, okay, we are good. Okay. So now, the idea is for Synology is always to build a better world with data. Okay. We want to make sure that we have a better world in terms of managing all our data. Right now, data is really a lot, and we have to make sure that we know how to manage all our data. Okay, now, okay, right, so let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so far right now, across, I would say, Asia, we have done quite a number of deployments for cameras. There are actually more than 2.3 million cameras connected around the world and using Synology, and of course over 400,000 sites using Synology, and some of the brands are over here. Okay, as you can see, some of them are actually very established brands, and even in Singapore they are also being used by quite a number of the well-established brands. Okay, some of the logos that you see here are actually also deployed in Singapore. Okay, so do not worry about having some reference sites for Singapore. Okay, now in terms of Synology surveillance station, we are talking about the VMS, okay, which is the video management system. Usually when we hear it or see it in the commercial world, it will be a very big ticket item or it's very, very expensive. Yes, if you are talking about the enterprise level, like all the bigger brands, okay, it is very, very costly, but it doesn't have to be. By using Synology solution, it is definitely manageable, okay? And why are some of the reasons you will want to use Synology NAS as your VMS, okay? We will definitely cover that and go into it, okay? Right, so let's get started with the surveillance station. It's a app that you can find on in the package center where you can download. It's totally free. Okay, now after you have installed the app, okay, most importantly, please take note. Okay, the app is only applicable for models that support the surveillance station. So ideally is to make sure that you use the Plus model. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, we are in the commercial world. We are resellers and system integrators. We want to install the proper models for the customers. First, we have to take note of is the model number that we want, the models that we want to propose, the storage. Okay, we have to consider quite a number of factors. All right, how many days you want to store the video, what kind of videos you're using, what kind of resolution, what kind of frame rate, what kind of bit rate. Okay, for all the cameras. Okay, and all this will add up, and you have to do the science, to do the mathematics, to calculate all this information. Now, I'm talking about models of Synology NAS that supports surveillance station. Okay, so the first step is after you have installed the app, okay, you can run it and it will pop up in another window. And what you can do is the first step is to add the cameras. Okay, so by adding the cameras is very simple. Of course, if you're talking about PoE cameras, okay, you got to make sure that the cameras are already powered by PoE. Okay, and all the IPs has been assigned either by static, you pre-configured, or you will get it from the router's DHCP. Okay, so there's a few ways to discover the cameras. All right, so after you add the cameras, one way is to manually input the IP number, the brand, make, and model of the cameras. Okay, and you will know it, and followed by the username, password. And once that's done, okay, and you will add in the camera into the surveillance software for you. Okay. Now, after you have done adding the cameras, okay, what will happen is you will have to add it into the monitor's dashboard. Okay, there will be a monitor center for you. It's all inside the same app. Okay, and you can decide how you want to position it, how you want to place it. All right, and after that's done, you will also have your map. Okay, so over here you can have a map. All right, so you can build a map using the software inside, and you can be able to keep track of all the cameras in your map. All right, so the maps, you can upload it yourself, or you can draw it even if you want to. Okay, so two things. All right, after you have the cameras, okay, you want to be able to add it in. All right, camera wise, as usual, you have, for those who are playing surveillance, you will know if you are a verified model, brand, make, and model, all right, it will be listed on the, when you add a camera. If not, make sure that the camera supports OnVIF. All right, if it's not listed because it's very new or it's just not been tested by Synology to be added to the surveillance station, you can choose OnVIF. Okay, after you choose OnVIF, basically you got to make sure where is the camera, you got to know the IP number, you choose OnVIF, and then followed by the username, password, and that's done. Okay, it's as simple as that. It supports all OnVIF cameras, okay, because OnVIF is an industrial standard. Okay, then once that's there, okay, you got to make sure that you are using a proper browser. You got to make sure that the browser supports HTML5 web player. All right, if you don't want to use a browser, you can download the free desktop client that's available from Synology, and you can run it like a program, and you will operate exactly like a thin client. Okay, but for that you need to run it on a computer, whether be it a PC, laptop, or a nuke. Okay, you can buy a nuke, okay, and you can use it very easily. Okay, or else another good advantage for most customers that they like is the mobile app. Okay, so Adrian is in. Okay, Adrian is from Synology. No, try to avoid using non-plus models. Okay, if you are going into surveillance, I would highly suggest to please use the plus models. Okay, because what you want is you got to make sure there's ample resources, and also in case you need to add more RAM. All right, my high suggestion is, especially in our context, for our country, our customers tend to be more picky, and also tend to have higher expectations. Okay, just about managing expectations, try to use the plus models for the Synology minimally. Okay, and also be prepared that you may need to add additional RAMs in case the customers should decide to add additional cameras. Okay, do note, first two cameras are license free. Okay, the license are included for the first two cameras for the plus models or the NAS that supports surveillance station. Okay, right, that's the first question for today. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, now for the mobile apps, okay, I'd like to stress a bit more. It supports Apple and Android. Okay, as you can see here, it supports iOS and Android. Okay, you can download it and you can add in the cameras. Okay, but of course, in terms of viewing, caveat, okay, there's a limit to the number of cameras you can view. So far, I've seen 16 cameras on the phone, but of course, phone size is very small. Okay, there's only so much you can do with phones. All right, so you will see it as it's very, very tiny. Okay, unless you get a bigger size tablet, or you can use Microsoft Surface, where you have a bigger screen. That is also viable. Okay, but on the Microsoft Surface, you will then download the desktop client to run on the Microsoft Surface. Okay, and then you can touch screen and do all the things for the customers. A lot of customers, especially business owners, they like the mobile app because they find it to be very, very useful. one thing about the mobile app is you can stream. Okay, you can also zoom back and you can zoom in, and you can also scroll. Okay, you can scroll down the video feed and retrieve back however much video that you want. So for example, the staff may call the owner and say, oh, something happened half an hour ago. And the owner could be anywhere in the world. Okay, so long as they have internet access on both ends, all right, they will be able to stream the video back and see and look through. And the mobile app also allows you to download the video or even to do a capture, okay, which is very, very useful. Okay, and that's some of the major advantages, I would say, for the mobile app, especially the screening portion, where you can seek through the video and see what's happening prior to it and see what's happening. Okay, that's very, very important. Right, so you can download the DS Cam app. All right, it's totally free, and then you can just run it. Now, for those who are trying to connect back, there are a couple of ways to connect back to the NAS. There's of course the usual one, which is the Quick Connect. Okay, Quick Connect is available and it's totally free. Or if you want something paid, you can use DDNS services, DYDNS, if you do not have a static IP. All right. For commercial places with static IP, of course, similarly, they may be able to run static IP on their system and also go back to the NAS directly. Okay, so for those who are running static IP, I would highly suggest to secure your NAS with a very, very strong password. Okay, strong password is highly recommended, and to make sure to keep your DSM OS updated with the latest version. Okay, Synology is very, very efficient in terms of updating its security patches if any are found. Okay, so that's very, very good. Do remember to keep your DSM updated. All right, very, very critical and very, very important. For those who have deployed NASes many years ago, do remind the customers, okay, you need to have some form of maintenance, okay? Prior to this video, 2 videos ago, where we have our last 2 reseller session, I went through on the maintenance, what you need to do for the customers. NAS is not something that you just install and forget, okay? There are still firmwares and things to updates for it, okay? That's also what I've spoken before for the prior 2 videos. If you need the link, or those who have the links before, the links are all still valid. It's all recorded on YouTube. You can go back and double check anytime. Of course, information will get updated as and when. The next round we will do, our next webinar will be, high chance will be in November again. Okay, there will be some announcements to be made in November. For those who attend now, okay, the 20 of you, do take note, we will have another event in November where we will have to make some new announcements from Synology, so keep a lookout for it. Okay, all right, so the chat is good. Sorry, okay, right. So right now for surveillance, there are a couple of common demands for surveillance solution from customers. One is, as I mentioned earlier, camera compatibility. All right, so for camera compatibility, just take note that Synology supports more than 7,000 over different brands and models of cameras. All right, so if it doesn't support, don't worry, there's still the OnVIF. I will go and stress about that in a slide by itself. Next common demand will be large-scale deployment. How do we do large-scale deployment? And also in terms of recording. Okay, if I want to do 180 days, 365 days recording, how do we go about doing it? Okay, so all these are the 3 normal common requests. Now, for these 3 normal requests, do take note, if you, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation today, do take note if you need any pre-sales advice, okay, do remember to reach out and also to do your registration. All right, it is very, very useful, okay, because we will have to help you in terms of the number of cameras, licenses, what are the things to keep a lookout for, and what are the things to take note. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay. Next, we'll talk about camera compatibility. Okay, so the common challenges. Okay, let me list them all out. Okay, so for the challenges will be the common feedback that we get from resellers will be the vendor lock-in. Okay, A lot of them, if they buy any certain NVRs, it may be locked into a certain brands, okay? And when you buy their NVRs, there will be extra costs for maintenance, and any additional features are subscription-based, license-based, and subject to license costs, okay? Now, in terms of Synology, it doesn't happen, okay? Synology does not do that, okay? There are no additional licenses that you need to purchase to deploy features, okay? Like I mentioned, whatever that comes with it, okay, the features are all inclusive inside the license, okay? Be it whatever video analytics that we will talk about later, all right? I will cover quite a fair bit on the video analytics and the reason why you are paying for the licenses. That's very, very important, okay? In terms of having different brands of cameras for deployment, okay, you can't streamline the whole surveillance system, right? But with a Synology surveillance solution, you can be able to mix and match different brands. Like for example, on my hand, I may have one that's from this brand and I have another one that's from this brand, okay? I'm still able to combine both, okay, and use it on one single Synology and get it to work, okay? That's as simple as that, because you may have customers who says, okay, I want a dome to be on my showroom, but at the same time, I want to have a bullet that's outside, okay, to be facing the public area to make sure that it's monitoring and has to be able to be weatherproof. Okay, so these are some of the things that we have to take care of. So these are the things that we have to make sure that we are able to combine all the different brands of cameras into one. Okay, so if it's not, what happens if you have a camera that is not listed, then you go by OnVIF, okay? But what happens if your camera is neither OnVIF nor is it listed? What is the next way that you can get in the video stream? Okay, that's RTSP. You can RTSP the video stream into the NAS, all right? So I have a video that's talking about that. You can see it on my channel, right? So, like I mentioned earlier, as of date right now, Synology supports more than 8,300 cameras, okay? So you can see here more than 8,300 cameras and also more than 140 brands, okay? All the major brands that are used globally are all supported. So you have your usual, the Boss, the Axis, the Canons, and the Hikvisions and the Dahua, and also the Vivotechs and Samsungs, okay? Samsung TechWin, of course, everybody knows. Right, so for the OnVIF portion, you have your Profile S and your Profile G. Okay, so all this information will be listed on your camera data sheet, and from there you can know if it's supported. Okay, thus far, so long as the camera minimally supports OnVIF or RTSP, you can definitely secure the video stream into the Synology NAS. Okay, right. Any questions so far on cameras, or if I'm too fast, do let me know, okay? I am checking the chat box as I am speaking. Okay. Right, so here you have is a case study that was done in Vietnam, all right? So the Vietnam Air Cargo Services, which is similar to our sets, okay? So they have a proprietary NVR that supports its own cameras, and so they have to find a way to work around it, because the vendor locking meant that they have to pay $700 for every new camera to add into the NVR, okay? And the maintenance are off limit. They don't allow any other third party to maintain the NVR, okay? So it was a very big headache for our Vietnam reseller, and so what they did was they had to find a workaround to see how they do it. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about it and show you how they do it. Okay, right, so what they did was they bought 4 racks. Okay, so they bought 4 racks, 4 Synology racks. It's a very, very huge racks. Okay, and what they have done is they have a total space of 812 terabytes. Okay, because it's an airport cargo, so they need to keep the records for a very long time. I'm not going to tell you how many days, it's a secret. And they have to centralize all 290 cameras. Okay, so the thing is, not only you have to consider about the storage, but you have to think about the network. Okay, you can imagine the network for all these cameras coming back into their system, and also the infrastructure. Okay, so it was a very big project at that time. Okay, so what they do is they have actually broken it down to 4 models of 4017 XS Plus, fully loaded with full loaded of hard drives and also the memory. Okay, and at the same time they split it up into couple of different sectors. All right, so you can see here there's one sector that's on 80 cameras, and 50 cameras. Okay, so they broke it down to 80, 80, 50, and then followed by another 80 on the host. Okay, so they are using the CMS solution. All right, I will talk about the CMS solution later on down the slides. Okay, so here is one very good case study for all, where they are able to integrate all the other brands cameras into one. Okay, I'm not going to say the brand of the camera. Okay, I'm just not going to say that. I'll be focusing only on Synology today. All right, thank you, Chris. Okay, so for Synology, what was the benefit that they brought to the table for the air cargo services was the idea was it was compatible with the existing cameras. Okay, and basically it was pretty painless to import the whole entire deployment and also to use some of the existing architecture. Okay, and the fact that they have also provision to add on and available to use the vast numbers of IP cameras and also for future expansion. Okay, so how the expansion will come about is through the CMS. All right, with the deployment of CMS, if you have multiple NASs, okay, be it that even you are currently using the NAS as data storage, you can also still use the CMS function. All right, so be adventurous to play around with it. Okay, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. All right, and I can talk to you about it. The setup is very friendly. Okay, it's all user interface. You know, click. There's no command lines that you need to run. Okay, in terms of the overall deployment, the pricing was competitive for them. Okay, rather than they have to every time pay $700 to add additional new camera. Okay, they can still use the existing camera, and if they choose to change any of the cameras, it's still fine. The Synology solution was still able to provision for it. Okay. Right, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, I gotta jump. Right, let's talk about large-scale deployment. Okay, so when you talk about large-scale deployment, this is where the CMS comes in. Okay, let me move myself. All right, so in large-scale deployment, what you want is management. Management is extremely important, and you must be able to streamline it across different locations back to a single portal. All right, so at the same time, when you are deploying for CMS host server, the size of the host server is also very important. Okay, you can't use a tiny puny little NAS and expect it to be the host server. Okay, so you have to make sure that it's able to support your deployment and what you're trying to do. Now CMS allows you to similarly update the NAS of all your softwares, update the software for all the NAS to keep it up to date. You can literally just control it from your host and send the command to your remote NASs, and you'll be able to do all the functionality. And at the same time, it's also able to do failover and failback, so you can determine and dictate who does what. Okay, and the best part is it's, as usual, one-time investment. Okay, you don't have to keep buying, just buy one time and that's it. Okay, there are no other licenses or subscription to pay other than your maintenance services. Okay, because as SI and system integrators, we are going in to help people maintain and manage it. Okay, no more hardware purchases unless it's faulty, but even then the warranty is there. I'll talk about the warranty later on in the event. Okay, I'll cover a bit about the warranty. Okay, so customers will ask about the hardware, ask about the long-term cost and all this information. So don't worry, it's all taught for by Synology. Okay, right, so when we talk about management, very simple. All right, after supporting all the number of NASs and IP cameras, it's very easy. You can just click from your CMS host and you'll be able to manage the devices and to see what you want to be done, how you want to update. You want to update the DSM, you want to update the apps, all can be done through the CMS, okay? And also permission settings, okay? You can set different permissions for different users, okay, to see what they can do. All right, so this is very, very important because when you have a very, very large scale deployment, permissions are very, very, very important. Okay, right. Next will be the automatic failover and fallback, failover and failback. Okay, so what happens is if you have a recording service having issues, it can also do the automatic failover for you. Okay, so that's very, very important. And last but not least, you can have an additional failover server on hot standby, same like when we are similar to what we are doing when we are doing RAID 5 plus 1 or RAID 6 plus 1. Okay, so you have a plus 1 NAS on standby to take over in case any issues that happen. Okay, and how the failover mechanism works is, in this case, like for example, right now we are looking at this slide. You have your main CMS host, okay, and then you have 3 recording servers, okay. So you will want to have one NAS, okay, or a similar size on standby, okay, to be the failover for all the other NASes. And in case if recorder B is faulty, okay, what's going to happen is it's going to move and go over to the failover server. Okay, that's what happens. Okay, similarly, okay, it's not exactly the same, but I'll use the word similarly. It is like a RAID 5 plus 1, okay, where the plus 1 will kick in and be used when you have a failure of one of the hard drives. Okay, I wouldn't use the word the same, but it's similar. Okay, now for the host server, similarly, you can run HA, okay, high availability. So you will have also 2 units at the host server, and basically one will be active, one will be passive. Okay, if the active goes down, the passive will kick in. All right. So basically, we will talk about, we have already covered on the CMS about the number of devices that you can host up to, and also how you can keep your software updated to make sure that you do not have any issues from any threats. Okay, permission settings and also failovers for all the NASes. It's a one-time investment for the hardware. Okay, so let's take a look at another case study that's happened in Holiday Inn at the Middle East. Okay, so this happens, this case study was done in Middle East by Holiday Inn. Okay, they have basically hotels across different cities in Middle East. Okay, and they want to be able to centrally monitor all the hotels in the different cities. So how did they go about doing it? All right, so let's take a look. Right, so over here is they have to deploy 17 units of Synology rack stations, and this station a mixture. And what happens is it's across 3 different locations. Okay, and what happens is they want to be able to view it from the capital city in Saudi Arabia. Okay, so they can see that in Riyadh they will have one main one, whereas the other 3 units are deployed across different locations in Saudi Arabia. All right, so they have to make sure that all the permissions are set for each level of the managers. Okay, so over there, the managers, they have different categories and different levels. All right, so over here you can see that they have deployed on the ground level. All right, they have deployed smaller units, and then for the CMS host, they have deployed larger units. Okay, and basically all will be monitored from the HQ over at the Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Okay, so all this is possible. Of course, similarly, if I'm a retail chain, I may have showrooms, or I may have chains brought across Singapore. Okay, and how do I do a CMS? All right, so with the Synology solution, which has been done in Singapore, all right, I'm not going to say which chain. Okay, so they may have multiple locations. They may have one in Jurong, one in Woodlands, one in CBD, and one in Changi. So how do they go about streaming all these locations back to the HQ where the bosses or the security team needs to double check and have also a offsite recording copy of the video? Okay. So all these are very, very important. You have to take note. It has been done in Singapore where there are multiple locations streaming back to one single location for the main branch office. Okay. Similarly, at the branch, they still have a NAS, all right? And at the HQ, they also have a larger NAS to store all this. And basically for the boss, they even have a video wall for the boss to see all the video cameras, all the CCTVs. Right, so in terms of deployment and monitoring, okay, you can use a Excel spreadsheet to upload the information. You can import in preparing a camera list, and then you can just upload it using an Excel file. Okay, so you don't have to add one by one, and you can just do it all at once. Okay, so that's the advantage of it for the batch deployment. Okay, so over here you can just create your Excel sheet, and then you can have your information added in. All right, so if you need the Excel sheet, just reach out to us. We will definitely be able to provide you, and you can look at the examples to fill in all the syntax and all the information and upload it into the NAS, and you will be able to batch it all in for you. Okay, that's very, very simple and easy. All right, and you can also select your camera settings. Okay, you can copy over the settings for all your NASes. Okay, now in terms of batch setup, you can also similarly use a map and also be able to add all this information and track it on the map. All right, that's how simple it is, especially with the new surveillance station 9.0. Okay, it is very, very intuitive. Okay, you can definitely see a lot of actions and click and use a lot of the maps. Okay, and you can even add cameras out on the outdoor. Okay, and for indoor, you just have to put in the map and put where the cameras are. For owners, they really love it a lot because it's not something that usually is affordable in the general public. Okay, these are usually done on a very, very large scale, enterprise level scale. Okay, so now with the Synology surveillance station, it is definitely doable and within reach for most people. Okay, so that's large scale deployment. Let's talk about long time recording. Okay, so in terms of recording for a very, very long term, okay, so usually for the usual NVRs, there is limited number of bays and limited number of capacity. All right, it is not expandable. Whereas for different vendors, they always usually have issues with their storage, but not so with Synology. Okay, because with Synology, basically we just put it into the main NAS, and it is definitely expandable. Okay, we know that Synology is able to go petabytes. Okay, petabytes is never been an issue for Synology. We can definitely do petabytes, not an issue. So you can expand way up to 300 drives. Okay, so there's never an issue for space in terms of Synology as compared to using traditional NVRs or traditional vendors. Right, okay, so you can see here you have your video management system with the storage. Okay, your storage is definitely streamlined and also single point of contact. Okay, what we mean by single point of contact is basically you just have to communicate with only one vendor, which is Synology, and we'll be able to help you for everything. Okay, from the cameras to the storage. You don't have to deal with different vendors for different issues for different hardware. Because for example, if you are using the non-traditional storage people, they may buy the storage from someone else, and if it's a storage issue, they won't know. If it's a camera issue, they may not know. All right, so it depends on where their forte is. Whereas with Synology, it gives you a one-stop solution where you know everything can be answered from you with a single point of contact. Okay. Now, let me go through another case study with you guys. Okay, so this is a well-known telco company in Taiwan that's using the Synology solution. Right, they have 300 branches, and the branches are basically mainly retail. So for retail over there, they need to keep at least 180 days, okay, which is very, very common. Okay, for large-scale retail, usually they will ask to keep the recording for 180 days in case of any dispute. All right. So do not be surprised when retailers tell you they need to do 180 days. Okay, I've seen 365 days, and I've seen even longer than that. Okay. So over here is over at HQ as usual. They have done a CMS host, and at the same time they have also created a archival server. Okay, so it's an archive server to record all the recordings, to keep all the recordings. Okay. Adrian, see if you can help me answer this question. How do you extend the storage capacity for traditional CCTV if it's not Synology's? All right. Teddy, somebody will answer you. Right, so over here for this case study, what happens is the first 30 days footage is kept in a local retail shop, and every night during off-peak hour from 10 to 10 is being backed up, archived to the HQ to be stored for up to 180 days. Okay, so you can run the archive functionality in the surveillance station to dictate how many days of video you want to keep. All right, it's as simple as that also. Okay, it's just clicking of the mouse and to input the information that you need. All right, so the Synology benefit in this case was that it is able to do a large scale storage, and at the same time it provides the customer with the VMS, video surveillance management, and also storage solution, and the fact that the archiving can be automated. All right, so let's take a look at the archive vault. Okay, this vault functionality is part and in the surveillance station software. Okay, so don't worry, what I show you today are all available inside surveillance station software. The latest version is 9.0. Remember to keep yourself updated. Okay, so in terms of the vault, what you can do is you can control the bandwidth, the amount of bandwidth that you want to utilize to do the archiving, the scheduling. So you want to do it during the non-peak hours, and how long you want to retain it. Okay, so you can set a number of days, be it that maybe it could be 14 days or 30 days on site, on-prem, and for the off-prem, you can set it as up to 180 days or even longer, so depending on the amount of storage that you have. Okay, so all this archiving boils down to amount of storage that you have. All right, that's very, very important. Okay, but as usual, don't worry, storage definitely is expandable, so long as make sure that the main unit, the CMS unit, it is a large enough unit where you can have additional space added on. Okay, now let me try and answer Teddy now. Okay, Teddy, usually for traditional CCTV, what you can do is you can FTP out the old videos and store it on the Synology. Okay, that's one alternative. Okay, or else is to remove out the current NVR or the current DVR and replace it with a Synology solution and start to do the recording again. But meanwhile, still retain the old hard disk for a period of 60 days or 180 days. Okay, some of the traditional DVRs or NVRs, they support FTP function. You can also use FTP to transfer the videos from the traditional CCTV solution to the NAS. Okay, so you can use the file transfer protocol to move the files and copy it over. All right, so that's one way. Okay, so it depends on how traditional is your CCTV system. All right, so if you are planning to move over to the IP sector, all right, it's 2022, it's still not too late. So this is one of the very, very good solutions available. Okay. Right, another thing that Synology have right now is called the C2 surveillance. All right, so this is Synology's cloud solution where you can store the video on their cloud. Okay, but of course, similarly, it's not free. You have to purchase the space to store. Okay, but at least you know that for some customers, they may want some of the recording to be stored somewhere and not only just on their premises. So you may offer them C2 surveillance. Okay, so with C2 surveillance is an added layer of protection. So what happens is your local NAS will give you a local storage, but at the same time, you are able to also purchase space on the C2 surveillance and push it up and store it as C2 surveillance. Okay, so keep it as an additional backup, and do not worry, all your information is encrypted AES 256 at the C2 surveillance. Don't worry, Synology can't see your videos. All right, the encryption is only between you and your space in the C2 surveillance. Okay, there will be a key that's protecting your information. Do not lose that key for your C2. Right. The idea is also similarly to have the cloud power convenience. Okay, so the video will be stored based. You can sort it out by time. You can sort it out by whatever happened. Okay, so you can set up the recordings based on detection. All right, I tend to do motion detection. So there will be event detected, and then it will do the recording. And if you have the C2 surveillance, you can then push it up only for the events, not the non-stop 24/7 recording. Okay, because or else it's going to take up a lot of space. Okay, if it's just based on motion, then that will be fine. Okay, so I went through all the 3 common issues that demands that are being asked for surveillance solution. Camera compatibility. All right, mentioned earlier, more than 8,000 cameras are supported currently by the Synology surveillance station solution. Large scale deployment, you can go extremely large. You can go up to 300 cameras. Okay, and as usual, recording. Okay, it's just a matter of how much space how much recording you need. Okay, how many days and how many months that you need. All right, so that's there. Okay, so don't worry. Right, the next thing that I want to talk about is the analytics. All right, a lot of times we just record the video, but we don't bother about what happens to the video. Okay, and the reason why I talk about live view analytics is because a lot of people are asking, why should I pay for additional licenses for Synology, and what are you paying for? Okay, so let me go through what are the things that you're paying for. Of course, you're paying not only just for the ability to store your videos on the Synology NAS, but also the fact that Synology traditional NAS that supports surveillance station, the Plus models, okay, have all these live view analytics. Let me go through 6 of them. These are the 6 basic video function live view analytics, which I love it very, very much. First and foremost is the motion detection. Traditional CCTV solutions do not have all these analytics for you. Okay, they don't. Right. So traditional ones. So you have motion detection. Okay, so you can set and search for motion in specific area. You can set within the map, and then you have your missing object. So that's to say that if it's a retail store, you want to make sure that the camera is looking after a certain item. Okay, in case it goes missing, you can trigger or you can do some form of action. Okay, foreign object. In case somebody places a foreign object at a certain location. Okay. Then you have camera occultation, so that's to detect if the lens has been covered. All right, so I have seen it happen locally, where the helper, before they run away, they put a wet tissue and cover up the camera. Okay, yeah, I have literally seen the live video. Okay, and of course, next is focus loss. It will detect and let you know that the camera focus is lost. Okay, last but not least is the no idle zone. Okay, make sure nobody is lingering around in somewhere that you don't want them to be lingering around. Okay, so all these are things that the Synology surveillance station can do for you. Okay, all this functionality has always been there for the longest time. Okay, except that, as usual, like I mentioned earlier, the 3 rules of CCTV is deterrence, detection, and forensic. Okay, deterrence, detection, and forensic. These are the 3 basic rules. Okay, of course, if you're talking about larger systems, enterprise systems, they will cover a lot more on the AI and the bigger data. Okay, but I'm not going to go into that. Right, all this information can all be found, okay, in the Synology website on the knowledge base. Okay, in case you can't get us or you can't get me, and you want to search for it on the Synology website, it's all there, and you can show all these functionalities to your end customers. Trust me, a lot of them will be very, very, very impressed with all these analytics, and they will know that it's very, very helpful. okay, as compared to the traditional CCTV where you can't do any of this. If anything happens, they can just go back to the recording and slowly sift through and find what happened, okay. But if you have all these analytics ready on hand, for those owners, they already enjoy it. They know that even on the DS cam, they can also do it, and they can just seek through the video to find what's wrong, okay. So this is the live view analytics, right? So with that, I want to talk about the new models, or the models that have been available for the longest time. So you have the DVA 3221. Okay, DVA has been around since 3219. Okay, so for the latest model, what I have now is the DVA 1622. Okay, so this is the latest model from Synology. It's a 2-bay unit, okay, and it can also similarly do all the functionalities that I'm going to talk about later. So this is the deep learning NVR series. The number of cameras supported is larger, and the number of free licenses comes together with it at the same time, okay. And the best part about it is for the 1622, it actually has a HDMI output, and basically you can just plug in a monitor and basically look at the videos straight away, okay. So that's one way. So this is the DVA 1622, the latest model, okay, for those who are into surveillance and require some AI. Okay, so what kind of AI are we talking about in terms of deep learning? Okay, I'm going to go through some of them, right? So on top of the 6 analytics that we have over here, which is all in the usual nest or the plus models, the DVA not only has those, but it can do a lot more, which I will show you. So what the DVA does is, okay, the DVA is basically inside has a GPU, okay, and basically you're using the GPU to help you compute it, okay, compute all the information that you want, which basically motion detection, accuracy, and much more interaction. Okay, let me go through with you what kind of interaction are we talking about. Okay, so on top of the 6 that we have, okay, the DVA can also do people counting. All right, it has been used in exhibitions. Okay, it has been used in malls. Okay, it has been used in situation where we need to keep track of the people, all right, especially during the last 2 years, where we have to know the number of people going in and out, not only for fire safety, but also to track what's happening. Okay, so that's very, very important. The DVA can do this, all right, can do people counting, right. Then you will have your vehicle and people detection. You can select a certain area where you want to determine the difference between human beings and vehicles. Okay, has this been used? Yes, it's been used, especially in car park space. Given the fact that we are in a very congested area, we are not in a very large area, so this also helps a lot. Okay, has this been implemented in Singapore? Yes, it has been implemented in Singapore. And in fact, the previous one, my previous slide, where we talk about people counting, it has actually also helped us in international events for the past year. Okay, where Singapore, we have used it as part of our solution to show people what we can do. Right. The next one is intrusion detection. So you can draw a line. Okay, sorry, I just totally forgot the word. Okay, you can draw a line, and basically you can detect intrusion. Okay, so for the DVA series, it can do all this. All right. So, and another one would be the facial recognition. Okay, it's able to do facial recognition, and with up to 97% accuracy. Do I know any of this? No. Okay, so and at the same time, you can place it at the entrance and to allow and for you to basically do a facial recognition to know who is allowed, who are the VIPs, and who are not supposed to come in. Okay, so that's very also very useful. Okay, has it been used? Yes, it has also been used in Singapore, where owners track their employees, okay, to know what the employees are doing at what time and everything. Okay, so that's one thing that can be done. All right. So next question being asked to me is, what's the difference between live view analytics and DVA, deep video analytics? Okay, I'm sorry, I have to read it out because I think it's very useful. All right, and the fact that I put it in the slide because in case you guys want to review the video and go through again. Okay, so with DVA, basically it allows you to have instant triggering and also recording and notification. Okay, but the difference would be that the analytic algorithm, the target scenarios and security levels, the DVA basically has a deep learning algorithms and is basically using the GPU, okay, for a very high accuracy and advanced feature. Okay, if you were to look at my my YouTube channel, I actually have a live stream of the road outside my office, where I am actually using the DVA to count the number of cars that are going through the road on bidirectional. Okay, it's actually doing that for me on a daily basis and recording it into a DVA. All right, the information is basically somebody needs it, so I'm just doing it for them. All right, so basically with the live view, okay, it provides you greater deployment flexibility as it's compatible with all Synology products that supports surveillance station. Okay, keyword, Synology products that support surveillance station. Okay, don't come back to me and say, hey, I bought a 220J, okay, and stuff like that. All right, so as usual, I'm always stressing on the plus models so that in case if you need more RAM power, it's all available. Whereas for the DVA, okay, you need those additional functionality, okay, it's all available. So my next slide, I'm going to go into the table. All right, so with this table, you can see very easy similarities and differences between the live view analytics and the deep video analytics. Okay, as usual, all Synology NAS supports all plus models surveillance station supported NAS, supports motion detection, missing object, foreign object, camera occlusion, focus loss, no idle zone. Okay, but with the DVA, you have an add-on of facial recognition, people and vehicle detection, which includes license plates recognition. Does the license plate recognition work for us? It's still in testing. So far, we have one site testing for the license plate recognition. So far, it's working. It's okay. Right, up to 10,000 license plate storage, intrusion detection, people counting, and vehicle counting. All right. Now, at the same time, depending on the DVA that you purchase, the number of AIs, artificial intelligence analytics that you're running, there is also a limit to the number of AIs that you can run on per DVA and the tasks that you can run at any one time. Okay, so if you do decide that you want to explore the DVA, or if you may have a potential customer who may be interested in the DVA, please reach out to a supplier, and also to make sure that you do the proper pre-sales and to make sure that the sizing is as per what you need. Okay, now if you need NFR, okay, just build your case and prep it and approach your supplier, and they will be able to assist you directly with Synology for that. Okay, if any of you have any issues, as usual, please do reach out to me. Okay, I'll try my very best to assist you. Okay, and yes, as usual, the DVA 1622 is available in Singapore for purchase. You can order it anytime. Okay, now as usual, back to what I have spoken so far. Okay, Synology surveillance system allows you to do branch HQ office recording. You can have a CMS host server, all right, and you can have mobile apps, browser, desktop clients available. The cameras, as usual, if it's on the list of the 8,400 over cameras supported, that would be great. Or else, as usual, OnVIF Profile S, OnVIF will be supported. Or else, last but not least, you have the option for RTSP, where if your camera supports. Okay, so all these functionalities are definitely there. Okay, out of the 8,400 over cameras supported, I'm very sure your customer will have one camera that is useful for them. And of course, you have your archival server. Okay, archival servers are very great for customers who need to keep video recordings for 180 days, 365 days. Okay, there are such customers in Singapore. All right, they just need to look for a solution, and actually Synology has a ready solution for you. Okay, Synology not only can do data storage, file storage, and backup. Okay, and a lot more. Surveillance is definitely one of their key things that they can definitely do for you. Okay, do remember to reach out. All right, so so far any questions? Today only one question so far. Okay, now let's talk about sizing. Okay, so if you need a very small unit, as usual for micro businesses, you have your usual 2-bay, 4-bay units. If you need something small SMB, all right, you have your 920, 1522 and above, up to your 2421 and your 2821s. Okay, if you are on a very large scale, more than 60, 70 cameras, you have your larger units of the 4021s and the 3621s. Okay, so all these are all available for you as usual. Do keep a lookout on the storage, all right, and also the bandwidth and the traffic. Okay, all these are very, very important. All this needs to be calculated. All right, there's still a science to it for surveillance. It's not just plug and play. All right, for small, very, very small scale, yes. Micro scale, yes, I would say it's plug and play. But once you start to go into the larger ones, there is a science behind it. Okay, all right. Now, in terms of hardware warranty, okay, it varies from 2 years to 3 years and up to 5 years for the large scales. For those plus models, as usual, if you need to extend the warranty, you can purchase EW201 or EW202. It's all available. It's just that you need to register it within 30 days of purchase. Okay, you need to register your EW201 or 202 to extend the warranty from 3 years to 5 years within 30 days of purchase. Okay, do not tread the line of 30 days. Okay, Synology is very strict about this. Okay, because the moment you go online, the NAS will basically communicate with Synology, and once you start to do surveillance, similarly, yes, it will also communicate with Synology. You can't do it offline. All right, so for the 3 years NAS, you can update it to 5 years hardware warranty. Okay, as usual for the hard drives for surveillance, remember minimally you need to use surveillance hard drive or the enterprise drive from Synology. Okay. Right, so for very quick help, you can go to Synology's website. There is a NVR. Okay, there's an NVR selector for you where you can use to select the NAS that you need. Okay, so they can go by the cameras, the day stored, and of course they will ask you for quite a number of information, which is the video format, the resolution, frame FPS, which is frame per second, and the bitrate. Okay, bitrate you'll get it from the camera's data sheet or your camera supplier. Okay, any decent camera supplier will be able to tell you the bitrate. Okay, or else then you have to study the data sheet. All this information is definitely required in order for the website NVR selector to assist you. Okay, so once you have input all the information in, then it will display the recommended units and what it can do. It will show you also the number of FPS, the frame rates in total that the NAS can handle. So that's where the science will come in, where you need to calculate. I have 10 cameras. I'm trying to do 30 frames per second. So 10 times 30 will be 300 frames. Okay, so anytime any of these selection will be able to do it. Okay, that's where the FPS comes in. All right. If you have any questions, as usual, reach out to us and we will definitely assist you on this. All right. Don't undercount the number of frame rates, and also The frame rates depends also on the resolution. The higher the resolution that you go, the lower the frame rate you'll be in terms of supporting for the NAS, because it gets bigger and bigger. Okay, it's all about resources. So all this is very, very, very important. Okay, so as usual, make full use of this NAS selector. Make sure you input all the information correctly. Only then it can help you. Sometimes I would like to go a variance where you may say, show the clients if it's at 20 frames, what's the size? Is that 15 frames, 12 frames, what's the size? Okay, so this is recording, not viewing. Okay, recording is another different information as compared to viewing it. Okay, all right. So last but not least, as usual, in terms of surveillance station, okay, we are talking about the ability to have a mobile and web browser access. Okay, you have your 8,000 over cameras. Right now it's 8,400 cameras. Okay, you have your CMS where you can monitor and manage multiple sites and up to 5,000 cameras. Okay, you can scale up to 300 drives. Okay, with the Synology storage solution. You have your AI powered DVA. Okay, which is I just showed you earlier. Okay, and you have your camera license, which is perpetual. Now, for camera license, as usual, be very careful. Some have asked me what happens if the NAS dies and the camera license is inside. So long as you can prove, okay, you have to prove with documentation that you purchased the license, okay, and you're the owner of the license, you can transfer. Or else, when you're moving from NAS to NAS, okay, you need to delete it from the original NAS, then install it into the new NAS. Okay, I have helped quite a number of people transfer the license. Okay, it's just that the downtime will definitely be there. You need to delete the old license and then input it into the new license. Okay, keep all records of your license key. Okay, keep all records of your license key, when you purchase it from, who you purchase it from. Okay, even the DO that you send it to your end customers is also still valid. Make sure that you list all the key information, the license key information, and also of course all the information that is required. Okay, in case anything happens. All right, as usual, if you can, try to extend the warranty, the hardware warranty of your NAS. Okay, if you buy the Plus models, you can definitely do it from 3 years to 5 years. The cost is not prohibitive. The cost is not very, 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 very big. Okay, it's definitely manageable if you stretch out over a period of 5 years. Okay, accounting wise, it is definitely doable. Okay, right. And as usual, last but not least, if you get the larger units, the hardware warranty is up to 5 years. Okay, the hardware warranty is up to 5 years, local support. Okay, locally the distributor will definitely help you with the hardware replacement. All right, if you need additional loaner policy, in Singapore we do have the service where you can purchase loaner policy while waiting for the RMA to be replaced. Okay, there are such services for the hardware. Okay, let me stress again for the hardware. Okay, for the licenses, you have to be in control. Okay, you have to be in control of your licenses. All right, so with that, let me move on to my Q&A. All right, let me put my face here. Right, okay, so as usual, I have my QR code here. Okay, which you can scan and join as reseller into our Telegram group. In case you have any questions, you can ask. All right. Meanwhile, let me stream for a while longer for you guys to ask questions if you have any. The Synology staff are also still online. They are around to look at your questions if you have any. Okay. Yeah, just feel free to ask literally anything you want. Okay. Regards to Synology. Okay. Ask about Synology stuff. All right. If you're around, if you are watching this video, recorded video, if you still have any questions, you can leave comments. Okay, and I will definitely get back to you. I will monitor the comment section and answer your questions if you have any. Okay, right. So If you have any questions, feel free to type it out in the comment section, or else we will close it off in another 5 to 10 minutes time. I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed my 1 hour presentation, and hopefully you gain some insights into the surveillance station. And also at the same time, I saw that Adrian has also answered with regards to traditional CCTV. Of course, it depends on how traditional is your traditional CCTV, whether it supports certain of the file protocols, then you can add additional storage space. Okay. Thank you, Tony. Mr. Ang, the extended warranty for 5 years is for the Plus model. You can look for EW201 or EW202. Okay, and as usual, like I mentioned earlier, you have to purchase it and add on the license key to your Synology account that's registered for the NAS within 30 days. Okay, let me type it out for you. EW201 or EW202. I highly recommend it to purchase the additional extended warranty, but you can't buy for units that are already in production or already used. But for your new units, as you are proposing to your new customers, let them know that there's this option where you can extend the warranty of your Plus models from 3 years to 5 years. Okay, for the larger units, not the smaller ones. Okay. If you have any questions on the EW201 or EW202, you can look it up on the Synology website. All the information is definitely there. I tend to like to sell the 201s to all the smaller units for smaller businesses, because they tend to overlook on this thing about the hardware warranty. Okay. And also at the same time, the hard drives, if they are extending the hardware warranty of the NAS from 3 to 5, look for hard drives that support 5 years warranty. Like for example, Synology hard drives, they give you 5 years warranty. Okay, Synology hard drive support in Singapore is basically one-to-one exchange. No problem. Okay, Synology hard drive in Singapore is one-to-one exchange. Okay, so anything goes wrong, the reseller will change for you. Okay, so don't worry about that. Okay, any other questions? For the cameras, as usual, any of the cameras that you use, just keep a lookout on, wait, let me see, sorry, this one. Just keep a lookout, see which are the protocols that they support. Okay, talk to the supplier, they will be able to answer you. All right, like in this case, where with this brand, you must adopt the camera to their solution first before you can RTSP. Okay. Whereas for some others, basically, it's recognized by the surveillance station. It will basically do the on-beef portion. Okay, you will do the on-beef portion, and you will recognize it based on the IP number and based on on-beef profile, and make sure that you have the username password. Okay, make sure that you have the username password, and then basically that's it. As usual for IP cameras, normally we will definitely propose to use by PoE. Okay, don't really use AC anymore. Okay, fully utilize the PoE. Cables, okay, be very careful about cables. All right, be sure to use the proper brands of cables. Don't use unknown brands of cables, because you're running PoE and video feed. Okay, be very, very careful, because I've seen cases where it happens after 1 year where they use unknown brands of cables. After 1 year, things start to fail and a lot of issues come up. Okay, and they literally have to tear out all the old cables. All right, and the guy that did the cable have to pay up a lot of money. Really no joke. Okay, be it that whether is it dome or if it's a bullet camera, okay, all are all usable and acceptable, so don't worry. Okay. So any other questions? All right, so going to move on to the next slide. Okay, so couple of minutes. Everybody's okay. Right, so with this, allow me to close off and say thank you very much for attending today's session. If you have any questions, as usual, we welcome all questions regards to Synology. We are definitely here to assist you. All right, look forward to our next video next month. All right, there's going to be quite a lot of information coming out next month. Do join us. I'm very sure that you have enjoyed much information from today's session. Right, if you need to reach out to me, you can find me at the Telegram group for resellers for Singapore. We will definitely be there to answer questions for you. Okay, as usual, try to build up the whole solution for you to be able to present it to your customers. It is a very, very useful solution. A lot of owners, after they see the DS cam on phones, on tablets, they are very, very impressed, because a lot of traditional CCTV can't do a lot of stuff that the Synology surveillance center can do. Okay, I would want you guys to find out yourself. For me, mostly is the SIG, okay, where owners are able to pull back instantly the videos that they want, which they can't do it on traditional CCTV solutions. Okay. All right. So with that, I'm closing off. Thank you very much for your time today. Okay. Keep a lookout for our next EDM, for our next video. Okay. And to see what's coming up next. All right. So thank you very much. Bye bye.